Hello and welcome to this tape of Irish verse. We will start off slowly, softly, and link the verses with appropriate music. First the harp, and as the mood changes, allow the fiddle players to bring our Irish concert, our Irish session, to a lively end. So, once again, Os Gaeilge, Céad Míle Fáilte, and we'll give the first words to an Englishman. Ireland with Emily, John Betjeman. Bells are booming down the boreens, white the mist along the grass. Now the Julias, Maeves and Maureen's move between the fields to mass. Twisted trees of small green apple guard the decent whitewashed chapel. Gilded gates and doorway grained, pointed windows richly stained with many-coloured Munich glass. See the black-shawled congregations on the broidered vestment gaze, murmur past the painted stations as thy sacred heart displays. Lush Kildare of scented meadows, Roscommon thin in ash-tree shadows, and Westmeath the lake reflected, spreading leaks the hill protected, kneeling all in silver haze. Stony seaboard far and foreign, stony hills poured over space, stony outcrop of the Burren, stones in every fertile place. Little fields with boulders dotted, grey stone shoulders saffron spotted, stone-walled cabins thatched with reeds, where a Stone Age people breeds the last of Europe's Stone Age race. Has it held the warm June weather, draining shallow sea pools dry, when we bicycled together down the Boreens fuchsia high, till there rose, abrupt and lonely, a ruined abbey, chancel only. Lichen-crusted, time-befriended, soared the arches, splayed and splendid, Romanesque against the sky. There in pinnacled protection, one extinguished family waits, a Church of Ireland resurrection by the broken rusty gates. Sheep's wool, straw and droppings cover, graves of spinster, rake and lover, whose fantastic mausoleum sings its own sea-blown Te Deum in and out the slipping slates. Irish Unionists farewell to Greta Hellstrom in 1922. John Betjeman. Golden-haired and golden-hearted, I would ever have you be, as you were when last we parted, smiling slow and sad at me. O the fighting dawn of passion, O the century-seeming pain, parting in this offhand fashion, in Dungarvan in the rain. Slanting eyes of blue, unweeping, stands my Swedish beauty where gusts of Irish rain are sweeping round the statue in the square. Corner boys against the walling watched us furtively in vain, and the Angelus is calling through Dungarvan in the rain. Gales along the Cumra mountains, beating sleet on creaking signs, iron gutters turned to fountains, and the windscreen laced with lines. And the evening getting longer, and the ache increased again, as the distance grows the greater from Dungarvan in the rain. There is no one now to wonder what eccentric sits in state, while the beech trees rock and thunder round his gate lodge and his gate. Gone the ornamental plaster, gone the overgrown domain, and the car goes fast and faster from Dungarvan in the rain. Had I kissed and drawn you to me, had you yielded warm for cold, what a power had pounded through me as I stroked your streaming gold. You were right to keep us parted, bound and parted we remain, aching if unbroken-hearted, O Dungarvan in the rain. I will go with my father a-ploughing to the green fields by the sea, and the rooks and the crows and the seagulls will come flocking after me. I will sing to the patient horses with the lark in the white of the air, and my father will sing the plough song that blesses the cleaving share. I will go with my father a-sowing to the red fields by the sea, and the rooks and the gulls and the starlings will come flocking after me. I will sing to the striding sowers with the finch in the flowering slough, and my father will sing the seed song that only the wise men know. I will go with my father a-reaping to the brown field by the sea, and the geese and the crows and the children will come flocking after me. I will sing to the weary reapers with the wren in the heat of the sun, and my father will sing the side song, the joys of the harvest done. O my dark Rosaline, do not sigh, do not weep. The priests are on the ocean green, they march along the deep. There's wine from the royal Pope upon the ocean green, and Spanish ale shall give you hope, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. Shall glad your heart, shall give you hope, shall give you health and help and hope, my dark Rosaline. Over hills and through dales have I roamed for your sake. All yesterday I sailed with sails on river and on lake. The Erne at its highest flood I dashed across unseen, for there was lightning in my blood, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. Oh, there was lightning in my blood, red lightning lightened through my blood, my dark Rosaline. Woe and pain and woe, and my lot night and noon, to see your bright face clouded so, like to the mournful moon. But yet will I rear your throne again in golden sheen. 'Tis you shall reign alone, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. 'Tis you shall have the golden throne. 'Tis you shall reign alone, my dark Rosaline. I could scale the blue air, I could plough the high hills. Oh, I could kneel all night in prayer to heal your many ills. And one beamy smile from you would float like light between my toils and me. My own, my true, my dark Rosaline, my fond Rosaline, would give me life and soul anew, a second life, a soul anew, my dark Rosaline. Oh, the Erne shall run red with redundance of blood. The earth shall rock beneath our tread, and flames wrap hill and wood, and gun peal and slogan cry wake many at length serene, ere you shall fade, ere you shall die, my dark Rosaline, my own Rosaline. The judgment hour must first be nigh, ere you can fade, ere you can die, my dark Rosaline. Michael Smith, Connemara, Christmas 1976. A visit to the village. No ancestral bones of ours roll like ivory dice in that black sea. No father of ours drew his boat across these barren fields, out under that sky bulging with grey rain. We have no roots here, are not recorded in parochial lore of fair days and fights and reciprocated help. We are strangers here, come from that impersonal city where rain hits concrete with the shatter of glass. We have come here to observe local rites, learn new words for things, and once again take note of human sameness. Such roots as we have, we carry with us in suitcases. The old priest Peter Gilligan was weary night and day, for half his flock were in their beds or on the green sods lay. Once, while he nodded on a chair at the moth hour of the eve, another poor man sent for him, and he began to grieve. I have no rest, nor joy, nor peace, for people die, and after cried he, God forgive, my body spake, not I. He knelt, and leaning on the chair he prayed and fell asleep. And the moth hour went from the fields, and stars began to peep. They slowly into millions grew, and leaves shook in the wind, and God covered the world with shade, and whispered to mankind. Upon the time of sparrow chirp, when the moths came once more, The old priest Peter Gilligan stood upright on the floor. "Mavrone, Mavrone, the man has died while I slept on the chair." He roused his horse out of its sleep and rode with little care. He rode now as he never rode by rocky lane and fen. The sick man's wife opened the door. "Father, you come again?" "And is the poor man dead?" he cried. "He died an hour ago." The old priest Peter Gilligan in grief swayed to and fro. "When you were gone, he turned and died as merry as a bird." The old priest Peter Gilligan, he knelt him at that word. He who had made the night of stars for souls who tire and bleed, sent one of his great angels down to help me in my need. He who was wrapped in purple robes with planets in his care, had pity on the least of things, asleep upon a chair. William Butler Yeats. Wind that shakes the barley. There is music in my heart all day. I hear it late and early. It comes from fields far away, the wind that shakes the barley. Above the uplands drenched with dew, the sky hangs soft and pearly, and emerald worlds is listening to the wind that shakes the barley. Above the bluest mountain crest, the lark is singing rarely. It rocks the singer into rest, the wind that shakes the barley. Oh, still through summers and through springs, it calls me late and early. Come home, come home, come home, it sings, the wind that shakes the barley. The Old Woman of the Roads. Oh, to have a little house, to own the hearth, the stool and all, the heaped up sods upon the fire, the pile of turf against the wall, to have a clock with weights and chains, and pendulums swinging up and down, a dresser filled with shining delf, speckled and white and blue and brown. I could be busy there all the day, clearing and sweeping hearth and floor, and fixing on their shelf again my white and blue and speckled store. I could be quiet there at night, beside the fire and by myself, sure of my bed and loath to leave the ticking clock and the shining delf. Oh, but I'm weary of the mist and dark, and roads where there's never a house or a bush, and tired I am of the bog and the road, and the crying wind and the lonesome hush. And I'm praying to God on high, I'm praying him night and day, for a little house, a house of my own, out of the wind and the rain's way. With deep affection and recollection, I often think of those Shandon bells, whose sound so wildwood in the days of childhood fling round my cradle their magic spells. On this I ponder, where'er I wander, and thus grow fonder, sweet Cork, of thee, with thy bells of Shandon that sound so grand on the pleasant waters of the River Lee. I've heard bells chiming from many a clime-in, tolling sublime in cathedral shrine, while at a glib rate brass tongues would vibrate, but all the music spoke naught like thine, from memory dwelling on each proud swelling of the belfry knelling its bold notes free. May the bells of Shandon sound far so grand on the pleasant waters of the River Lee. I've heard bells tolling, old Adrian's moaning, their thunder rolling from the Vatican, and cymbals glorious swinging uproarious in the gorgeous turrets of Notre Dame. But thy sounds were sweeter than the dome of Peter, flings all the Tiber pealing solemnly, or the bells of Shandon sound far more grand on the pleasant waters of the River Lee. There's a bell in Moscow, while on tower and kiosko in Saint Sophia the truckman gets, and loud in air calls men to prayer from the tapering summit of tall minarets. Such empty phantom, I freely grant them, but there is an anthem more dear to me. 'Tis the bells of Shandon that sound so grand on the pleasant waters of the River Lee. Francis Sylvester Mahoney. at potato digging. Seamus Heaney. A mechanical digger wrecks the drill, spins up a dark shower of roots and mould. Labourers swarm in behind, stoop to fill wicker creels, fingers go dead in the cold. Like crows attacking crow-black fields, they stretch a higgledy line from hedge to headland. Some pairs keep breaking ragged ranks to fetch a full creel over to the pit and straighten, stand tall for a moment, but soon stumble back to fish a new load from the crumbled surf. Heads bow, trunks bent, hands fumble towards the black mother. Processional stooping through the turf recurs mindlessly as autumn. Centuries of fear and homage to the famine god toughen the muscles behind their humbled knees, make a seasonal altar of the sod. Balanced on wild higgledy skeletons, scorned the land in 45, wolfed and blighted root and died. The new potato, sound as stone, putrefied when it was lain 3 days in the long clay pit, millions rotted along with it. Mouths tightened in, eyes died hard, faces chilled to a puckled bird. In a million wicker huts, beaks of famine snipped at guts. A people hungering from birth, grubbling like plants in the bitch earth, were grafted with a great sorrow. Hope rotted like a marrow. Stinking potatoes fouled the land. Pits turned pus into filthy mounds. And where potato diggers are, you still smell the running sore. Under a gay flotilla of gulls, the rhythm deadens. The workers stop. Brown bread and tea in bright canfuls are served for lunch. Dead beat, they flop down in the ditch and take their fill, thankfully breaking timeless fasts. Then, stretched on the faithless ground, spill libations of cold tea and scatter crusts. Like dolmens round my childhood, the old people. John Montague. Jamie McChrystal sang to himself, a broken song without tune, without words. He tipped me a penny every pension day, fed kindly crusts to winter birds. When he died, his cottage was robbed, mattress and money box torn and searched, only the crops they did not disturb. Maggie Owens was surrounded by animals, a mongrel bitch and shivering pups. Even in her bedroom a she-goat cried. She was a well of gossip defiled, fanged chronicler of a whole countryside, reputed a witch. All I could find was her lonely need to deride. Mary Moore lived in a crumbling gatehouse, famous as Pisa for its leaning gable. Bag apron and boots, she trampled the fields, driving lean cattle from a miry stable. A byword for fierceness, she fell asleep over love stories Red Star and Red Circle, dreamed of gypsy love rites by firelight sealed. Curate and doctor trudged to attend them through knee-deep snow, through summer heat, from main road to lane to broken path, gulping the mountain air with painful breath. Sometimes they were found by neighbours, silent keepers by a smokeless hearth, suddenly cast in the mould of death. Ancient Ireland indeed, I was reared by her bedside. The rune and the chant, evil eye and averted head, Fomorian fierceness of family and local feud, gaunt figures of fear and of friendliness. For years they trespassed on my dreams, until once, in a standing circle of stones, I felt their shadows pass into that dark permanence of ancient forms.